Hi, Joe Cerrone. Welcome to our weekly meeting for CAD 230, Introduction to Solidworks. We'll hold these Zoom meetings on Mondays at 6 p.m. and we'll use the same link. The meetings aren't required, but they're a great way to ask questions and to find out what the topics of the day are. So here's a welcome video. There's just a short video about the course. Textbook that we will be using will be SolidWorks 2020, and you should be able to buy this in the bookstore. If you're not able to get it in the bookstore, there's a link here to Amazon, and you can get it on Amazon. You can also buy it in a digital version if you go to SDC Publishing. And you look for SolidWorks Basic Tools. And so they do have a 21 version out, but we're using the 2020. It's just hard to stay on the newest. And so let me get the connect here. And so it has this purchase options also. And so you can get these books electronically from Red Shelf as well. So that's the textbook. And then the students will need a version of SolidWorks, and you can either use the student version, which is what I recommend. I use it to teach the course. I've been using it for quite some time. It's good for a year. If you have an older version, you need to uninstall the old version before you put the new one on. And so you'll go to this solidworks.com/SEK. I think it's SDK. Let's see if this works. Apparently this is the right one. And so all you need to do is fill in the information and then download the 2021 version of it. And then you'll be able to request the download. Once you put in your academic student design number, it will ask you for it. And so if we go and click one farther here, I think I have to fill out these areas, but it will work just fine. And so you need to input this student design kit ID. All right, moving right along. If you have a computer that doesn't have enough horsepower to run SolidWorks, they have some support options where students can VPN into Oakton. And they also have the ability for students to get laptops and computers as well as that. And so contact me if you need to create a virtual private network into the course. And I'll post that information also in another spot. But my best recommendation is to download the software and to use that software. Okay, so the way the course is laid out, I've got the calendar of when the modules are due listed over here. And so about every 2 weeks, we'll have a new module due. And so, well, we have a new module every week, and then I typically put the assignment due 2 weeks from when I introduce the module. And so this module is being introduced today on the 1st, and then 2 weeks from now, we'll have that due. So there's plenty of time to get the work in, but once the workflow starts to go, you'll be turning in a project every week. If we look at the way the projects are laid out, they're laid out here in the Contents tab. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to a student view. Do that again. Contents. And so here's module 1, and I have the first 3 modules on. And so I'll update these, every week, but I just wanted them all to start at this point. I'm not sure why this one says September 7th. I think that's a little, that's probably from 2020. But either way, you're able to see modules 1, 2, and 3 for anybody who wants to just start to go through and see how everything's laid out. Here's our student version information. There it goes. And then class overview. We'll use D2L to navigate through the course. Our textbook will be the SolidWorks 2020 book. Course syllabus. So I'll be teaching the course. Alan Rosen helps me with setting up things for D2L. And so as we start to look at the course syllabus, a little bit about myself. I went to Northern Illinois University. I worked for ITW Signode in Glenview as a design engineer, and at Komatsu Dresser as a mechanical engineer. And then prior to my work experience, I was a graduate student up at Northern Illinois University, where I worked in the Department of Technology. And back in the day, I set up their CAD labs and a number of other things. I'm Cisco certified. I used to run the Cisco networking program, and I'm currently the department chair of the mechanical design and manufacturing program. Used to teach high school, do drafting education, boys gymnastics coach, a few things like that. So I'll have to update this webpage, but essentially that's me. There is no prerequisite. The course explores theory and application of SolidWorks. Our learning objectives are to be able to describe an engineering design and development process, compose 2D sketches by applying SolidWorks, apply constraints and dimensions, build 3D parametric models. Quite a few things that we're going to go through and do. It's essentially a hands-on course. Academic integrity is pretty standard boilerplate. There's a textbook for students who want to know about what the academic, what the student guidelines are. Outline of topics. Essentially, we're going to go through the book chapter by chapter from the beginning till about chapter 20, where it goes through the SolidWorks certificate exam, or the CSWA. And so we'll do things like creating parts with sketches, we'll create assemblies, and we'll do a 3D printer project, which should be pretty cool. I like to do the, SolidWorks is an excellent tool for prototyping, and we have a number of 3D printers that we'll put to use for that. Course will be lecture, demonstrations, and hands-on projects. And so students should expect to spend about 10 hours per week outside of the class, maintain a portfolio of your drawings, and try to turn the projects in on time. I don't restrict you from turning them in, but you will be marked late if you don't turn them in on time. And then I'll hold these Zoom meetings each week. It's going to be a pretty straight 90, 80, 70 type of a grading scale. And each module will have a lab and a quiz associated with that. And so students will take the lab, do the drawings, and then the quizzes that are embedded in D2L. If you have any documented learning, physical or special needs of any sort, Oakton's a really great place. They have a lot of people that are very supportive. And so if you need any extra help or support, you can contact me and I'll put you in contact with an advisor who can help you. With that, that's pretty much the syllabus, and the outline of topics is pretty well built into the way the course is set to run. So if we come back here into content, and we take a look at, there is a pretest. I would like the students to take the pretest. We use it to use, we have these assessment guidelines, and part of being able to see if a course is working is to be able to have data. And so we'll use this assessment data. You won't be scored as far as counting towards your score. It's just used as a pre-evaluation to see where students are at when we start off. So please take the pre-test. Module 1, The course was rewritten by Sebastian. He's one of the guys who teaches in the mechanical design program. He does a great job. And so he went through it over the summer and created these videos and helped organize it, the D2L. And so every module will have a video. The first one talks about the interface, and it also well, actually the first one, if we look at the textbook, goes through setting up the system options. Not a lot of things if you've never used SolidWorks in the first chapter. And then the second chapter goes through templates, kind of more of the same, being able to set the parameters in the document settings. But when you get to the third chapter, that's where we kind of get working with SolidWorks, where we go through and we'll actually design and draw things. So the first two chapters are just kind of on how the software looks and how it's set up. And then the third chapter goes through how to create these different parts. And that's essentially what we're going to do. As I look at some of my SolidWorks work, the first assignment will be to create this part right here. If I hit the space bar, I can go and grab an isometric view of it. And then the second project will be this part right here. And then the third project for module A will be this part right here. And so as we start to work with SolidWorks, if you've never used it, we start off with these sketches. And so what we do is we start off with a sketch of the part. And this one kind of goes by the book. If we take a look at the first initial sketch, we'll start off by creating this shape and then adding dimensions and then being able to turn it into what they call a feature. And features are things like extrusions, revolves, and sweeps. And SolidWorks is fairly robust. There's quite a bit out of the box to be able to navigate through. But we do a good job in the videos. And so what we really find works well is to give people a reading assignment, give them a lot of pictures and glyphs of what we're going to do with it. And then we make these videos. And so Sebastian's gone through and made these videos. And then if I click on it, like here's Lab 1A, Part 1. And so I'll turn off the volume. It goes through and shows how to create the first lab. So there's no real need for me to go through and redo all the videos. It's like watching the same TV show over and over again. Once we cut the video, we just update them as the software progresses. But that's the instructions on how to do the first lab assignment. And then if I come back here to module 1, there is a video on how to do part lab 1B and lab 1C. You'll turn in those assignments to the assignments folder. And if you click on the link to that, it goes to the module 1 assignment folder, and it'll tell you your project, whether you have submitted it, and we will have a rubric there that tells you how you will be graded. Setup and configuration, proper units, sketching, use of constraints, general, are you applying proper features properly? And so that's how we will submit the drawings of the parts. You can add a note when you submit the project and add some information if you do need to do that. And so if I go to submissions, you can go and upload, add a file, and then you can go and add a comment like, So then you can submit it. So if you do have a question or something like that, you can do that. And then once you submit it, you'll get like a notification in your email that says that it's been sent. Back to module 1. So you do these 3 drawings. They're due in 2 weeks. You can watch the video instructions on how that drawing is created. And then there's a quiz. And so if I go here to the quiz will go through and ask you questions about the chapters that we have studied. If I go through and I take myself out as a student and I go to quizzes and exams and I look at the module 1 multiple choice quiz, you'll be asked questions like, how do you get to the general options? Can you create a template that can be used for other drawings? How are features generally recognized? A lot of the questions are taken from the textbook at the end of the chapters. And so it's a good idea to look at the questions at the end of the chapter. The quizzes are done on your own as far as being able to take them. I don't have them set up for honor lock or proctoring software. They just let you demonstrate that you have an understanding of the material in the chapters. So as we look at content, module 1, create the drawings, and then take the quizzes. We have a quiz for multiple choice, and then we have a volume quiz. And what the volume quiz will do, it'll ask you to analyze the drawings. And so if I have a drawing like this, and I go to the Evaluate tab, and I look at the mass properties, I can get the mass properties or the volume of this completed object. And that's what we'll ask you. We'll ask you for the volume of the completed object. And that trains you for the SolidWorks CSWA, SolidWorks Associate exam, because they will have you do similar items. Okay, so that's the basics, how the course is set up. I did add a bunch of bonus work last semester. It might be a little much this semester. You don't have to do it, but I really like working with SolidWorks in a pandemic environment. There are times when I'll just go through and start working on assignments. And so I've created some additional assignments for students that if they are interested in doing bonus work, and I'll do this for some of the other chapters. There's some material here for you to go through and create the SolidWorks drawings. And you can turn those in, and then you can get, it's like a 10% bonus for the module. Okay, so that pretty much covers module 1, course policy and procedures, and how to navigate through the course. I'm going to go back to the main splash page, and I'm going to end this Zoom meeting, and I'll post this recording here in the announcements. I'm going to open it up for questions for those that are in attendance about the course. Thanks. Have a good day.